As we're continuing in rendering and also sketching some of these elements, this would be based on now a matte surface. What is a matte surface? A matte surface is basically a surface that's kind of dull, that doesn't have any reflection, or that does not have any gloss look to it. So with this, it's a little easier to texture. Your textural elements would be to suggest that these forms are a little bit more bland than the chrome, than the glass, than even the wood. So with this, we can use this kind of technique on certain hard surfaces, even some organic surfaces, to suggest what we're trying to translate and also send across. Having your lines coming to life, it's very important, because as you're sketching, you're also maintaining the line quality, maintaining the visual elements like line weights, just like what I was talking about earlier. Your line weights will always bring life to your sketch, to your drawing, because what we're trying to do is we are visual communicators, right? So when we visual communicate, it's going to help us sell our sketches effectively, sell our drawings effectively, communicate clearly, and those are very, very important elements to consider as an artist, as a visual communicator, as most of you students are going to be going into game art, animation, concept art, visual development, whether you're working in any of the studios, whether it's visual like DreamWorks or Riot, or these are the things that you start with as basics as an artist to grow, and as you grow along, you will also get better. This is one of the things that one of my animation directors used to say. He used to be a lead animator at Don Bluth Studios and also at Disney. He would say, "You're only good as your last drawing." So there's always, space to grow. There's always space to get better. So these are some of the elements that I like to encourage students to keep doing. Whatever you are passionate about, and it's very important to suggest to keep that attitude. Whether you have challenges or anything, just keep it there to move on to the next level of your career and also goals. So I'm texturing a little bit more on the overall values, because it's important to keep the surface matte, and these textural lines will always help us bring in our translation of our sketches, our suggestive lines that can translate to your audience, which is your viewers, or to communicate across effectively as you go along. a little bit of white always helps as the Prismacolor white or gouache. Prismacolor is nice to be using because it can get you define areas. And there's also another pen that's considered a white pen that students can also purchase pretty much on Amazon or eBay or any good art supply store, as you are basically learning and also drawing. These are some of the tools that as you're sketching, it can help you sell your visual ideas clearly and also effectively. So as we are continuing, that would be the mat. What I'm gonna do is a weathering. Weathering means there's damage to the vehicle, or there's areas of, when you perhaps you might be on a show that has, or a game that has battle damage on some of these vehicles that you're drawing or designing. Wear and tear, basically, at the end of the day, that's what it's called. So these are the elements that students also have to consider, knowing and also understanding how to effectively create a sketch to communicate that effect to that hard surface or to the subject matter that you are sketching. Those are things are really crucial. So I like to encourage students to be aware of stuff like that, so that you can get more efficient, and also you're also building your visual vocabulary, right? Sketching vocabulary, and also the knowledge that comes along with it. It's very important. That's why to some people who don't understand what art is more than just drawing. It is more than just painting. It is about what designing. It's about basically drawing. It's about basically communicating. So in this demo, what I'm doing is basically will be the weathered element as how we see it and how we are going to display to you as we go along. With weathering, obviously there's damage. There's let's say if I was to draw this as a tank that just came from battle, it's got bruises, it's got nicks and dents on the surface, and that's what weathering is about. That's what the overall element of getting these things to fruition, to communicate again with your audience, to show the effectiveness of how things can be. Line weights, again, I know I'm repeating myself, but these are things to always have to remember as part of your sketch techniques, right? When you have a diversity of line weights, your lines become alive. Your lines become, energetic. It shows the forms a lot more effective than the regular element that you are basically trying to translate to and also present to your audience. So these are things that are really crucial to consider. Creating the thin lines, thick lines, as I was mentioning, the line weights always help. Um, Also suggesting how damaged certain areas are. Obviously, you can apply it overall shapes or whatever you are sketching. That's why I really encourage students to go out and draw different variety of things, a different variety of elements, subject matters, so to broaden your scope of visual knowledge and also visual language, which is so important for any student who are dwelling or beginning in the art field to get more efficient and to get more skillful in their craftsmanship and also artwork. Hinting a little bit of white value will always be ideal. It always shows a little bit of light source, a little bit of where the angle of the light's coming from. So these are things to consider as you are designing or drawing and sketching, to create effective values for your work, overall work. So at the end of the day, this is some of the sketching elements that are basically helpful and effective, and I hope this has been informative and also allows students to understand some of the sketching elements and techniques that could be applied to their work, and also methods of getting more effective sketching techniques. So thank you for watching.